This is the Andrew Walsh podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen. I really appreciate it. I'm praying you can take away something from this episode that brings value to your life. Make sure to subscribe to my podcast to stay up to date with the latest episodes, and please share with a friend if you feel you're getting something out of these episodes. You can also follow me on Instagram at @A_Walsh. Let's fire it off. Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? I have an amazing person who's going to be sharing some amazing knowledge with you today. Mr. Eric Winkler, what's going on, man?
What's up, Andrew? Stoked to be on the podcast for the first time. Thanks for having me.
So excited to have you here, Eric. Today, we're going to be talking so much about self-development. And even before we started recording, Eric was telling me, it's like we actually started chatting about a year ago, and we're going to share so many different things about what's going on. Let me first start off with a prayer, and then we're just gonna get after it today. So, Father God, we just come to you right now with grateful hearts. We come to you receptive and open. Our intention, God, is that this conversation between Eric and myself benefits not only us, but everyone who is listening, God, that at some point in either Eric's speech or what we're conversating about, it's directed by you, Lord, and it impacts somebody so profoundly that they're listening to this, that it will inspire them within. God, we love you and thank you for all of our blessings and for the opportunity to even do a podcast and for Eric having time in his busy schedule, Lord. We love you and we praise your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. 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 So Eric, what's going on, man? Just give the audience here a little scoop. Like, what do you do? Who are you? For anybody who's listening who maybe has never heard of you before.
Yeah, no, of course. So basically, I kind of have two main hustles, really. The first one is I work at Splunk, which is a data analytics software company. I'm chief of staff for our VP there, so I manage two different teams, basically doing business intelligence, strategic planning, and then release management for software. Been there for like 4.5 years, fell in love with it. You and I both went to Cal Poly, been there ever since, basically. And then last year, I actually launched my life coaching business that you and I were kind of talking about earlier, that's called Epic Voyage. And so that's on Instagram. It's at Eric Anthony Winkler. I have a YouTube channel on that as well. And basically, it's just one-on-one coaching, 12-week program, self-development, actually getting people out of their own way to become the hero of their own story and really just kind of take their lives to that next level because they're feeling stuck with their mindset or with not knowing how to get their goals done, whatever it might be. It's really kind of agnostic. So been loving that, been really helping out a lot of people, and it's just been a great journey thus far.
I love it, Eric. And you're somebody I've known since college, always stood out to me. He's got an incredible work ethic, just holds himself very well amongst, a bunch of crazy college kids. I always was like, man, Eric is always so put together and sharp. And I know you for sure, you brought that same mindset into your business, in your current career, and you had a lot of success. At what point were you seeing success and you're moving up the ladder in the company and you're doing certain things that you're like, hey, maybe I should start coaching? Was there like a moment that happened for you?
Yeah, 100%. So essentially, long story short, I got a degree in biochemistry, but realized right near the end that I didn't actually want to go into doing that as my job. And being president of my fraternity, I realized that I liked leadership and management and business. And so then I jumped into project management for this tech company called Splunk and just fell in love with it. And again, that work ethic, that just kind of showing up as a leader just paid dividends. After like 2.5 years of doing that, I kind of made a name for myself where people are like, oh yeah, Winkler's the guy to go to when you need things done. And my VP noticed that in me, and he basically then said, I want you as my chief of staff. I want you to manage these teams, and really kind of took me under his wing, which I'm always super thankful for. And it was at that time I just kind of started picking up that, like a lot of my friends reach out to me for career advice, for life advice, and they always say I have like an uncanny way of just delivering complex concepts in a simple and calm way. And I
Yeah.
was like, there's a business here, like I'm passionate about helping people, But then B, I realized that I can monetize this. I can do this as a side hustle and just really like provide my gift back to the world, and have fun while I'm doing it. And so I had the idea for Epic Voyage in late 2018. I basically made like a 12-week program on how to like align your life with what your values are, build out your strategic goals, actually how to get out of the pitfalls of like when you have lack of motivation. And then really at the end, you write your own story on your transformation. And I did that by myself, basically, where I
Mm.
essentially put myself through this program where I broke my life up into quarters and just kind of kept moving it from there, adding content to it. And then one of our good friends, I think Grant Prescott and some of the other guys from Cal Poly, I told them about it and they're like, oh, I'd love to try it out. And so then I got them in on it. I got like Rustin from my fraternity to do it as well. And it just kind of grew from there. And they're like, dude, this is tremendous value that you're providing to us. And so I was like, yeah, I should launch this thing. So 2020, I committed. I was either going to get an MBA, like start studying and start going down that route, or start this side business. And I realized that my passion more lies with doing this side business. And so I, incorporated, made it all legit, and it's been a great ride thus far.
Well, I love it, man. I'm so proud of you, Eric. Can you give us maybe like you don't have to give away your whole secret sauce here. Maybe some like action items or some parts of this self-development that somebody's listening could start implementing. Maybe just the way that they hold themselves at work or get noticed by a VP. What are some of these things that you would give?
Yeah, so I'd say so there's three pillars to my program, and I'll give a tip for each pillar. So the first one is the discovery phase, where essentially we go deep and understand, your core values. What are the habits that are driving your life, the behaviors and the belief systems that you have, because
Mhm.
that way you can build out a strategic plan on where you want to go, because you actually are aligned to knowing what's important to you. So my first tip there is you wouldn't think about it, but you actually just need to be consistent with your habits of either meditation or prayer or working out, whatever it might be. You need to be consistent in doing that every day and tracking that, because that's that foundation that you're literally building your life on top of. And that's where those insights come, where you're like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I'm happy, because your brain is operating at a better level. So that's like literally tip number one, step number one for anyone that comes into my program.
Step number one, you know what? I'm before you go on to number two, because I have you heard of that book by James Clear, Atomic Habits?
I've never read it though. I do need
'Cause
to read that one.
I love what you just said, like stuff that you're doing daily. He's big on like a 1% little bit better. Like you were doing the meditation and he talked about this amazing story about the British cycling team and they were trash. Like I guess there was bike companies who
Mm.
literally said, we're not gonna let any British people buy our bikes because it will hurt our sales because you guys are so bad, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
so they had a guy who was really good with habits become their new coach. And he just
Mhm.
started looking at how can we get like 1% better. So they like changed their seats. They got them like a little bit hotter spandex to make sure their muscles were at the perfect temperature.
Yeah.
They brought in a doctor to show them how to wash their hands properly so that they were healthier. So they started getting
Wow.
1% better in all these increments. They come back to the Olympics 4 years later, win all these golds, have been known for like this dynasty of a 10-year run of like the best cycling, won all these Tour de France when they had never won before. And it was all about these little 1% measurements. If they could look at their business or the way they do something as simply as cycling, how can we make it so much better? And
Yeah.
that's kind of like your tier one. I had to just interject right in there,
Oh,
but
yeah.
keep
I
on
love
going, man.
No, I love that because it's kind of I actually in my larger programs, I kind of have two. Of one for, just people who are just starting out and need some guidance. Then I have one that's more for like high performers that are kind of stuck doing, big things like entrepreneurs. That one I explained how I want you to think so big that it's foggy. It's so foggy on how you're actually going to get there that you have to then walk slowly and just do that next step, that next step, that next step that's small enough to
Mm,
actually start making progress, right?
yeah.
Uh, so I love that story. So that's the first one. The second one is the action phase, which basically is where the rubber hits the road. You got to do the work you need. and I'm here to guide you through that. If you're lack of motivation, or if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, which I'm sure you probably feel this too, like I do, is you're doing so much, but you still feel like it's not enough, and you have to like be proud of what you've done. So my tip there is just to keep your motivation going. Is find someone to keep you accountable, that is like your friend, your parents, your coworker, just basically just try to partner with them and say, hey, like, can I keep you accountable and you keep me accountable? And we check in with each other each week on like one thing that you were supposed to do, right? Like that little step will help so much, because you're actually forcing yourself to be like, oh, I gotta talk to Andrew later. I gotta make sure that I said that I did this thing. I don't want to look bad. So it'll keep you like on task, you
Can
know?
I ask you something? You just made me think. So, like, because you are an accountability coach for your life coaching clients, but
Yeah.
like I would say, who's your accountability? Like, do you do like check-ins with yourself daily or weekly? Like, hey, Eric, am I hitting what I'm supposed to? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do it. I take my own advice in the sense where, like today, or for what we're doing right now, I knew that I wanted to jump on your podcast and talk to you and have this good conversation. So when I was feeling like a moment of, oh, I'm not doing enough, or oh, I need to, work more on my business, I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot a text to Andrew and say, hey, can we jump on the podcast sometime soon? Because by doing that, it's forcing me to be accountable, because again, I want to maintain this relationship with you. Or if it's something at work where I tell my boss, yeah, I'll get that to you, in 2 days, even though I might be worried about getting it to him in 2 days. Now I've forced my accountability. So I do that with myself a lot, but then, just having your own peers just kind of checking in, and being able to like have that mentorship and peer group has always been super helpful too.
Yeah, guys, for everyone who's listening, Eric just shared with you something really great. So, if you're like, I need an accountability person in my life, first off, you have Eric, you have myself, but
Yeah.
do what Eric says, like, I'm going to give this to you in 2 days. Set, or like, this is something I know I do because I have a major sweet tooth. Ask my wife, she'll be like, this fool at late at night. And if
Yeah.
I'm eating something sweet and I'll say, like, let's say cookies, like Girl Scout cookies, right? So if there's a whole tray, obviously my body's like, I want to eat all five of these, but I'll say I'm only going to eat three, right? And then you only eat three, and then that's your kind of account. Or I'm full. You say it, even if I'm not full, I'll eat three and say I'm full. I'm putting it away and say it out loud. So I think checking in and holding yourself accountable. One of the things I love about Brendan Bouchard is he does hourly check-ins, and that's something I'm working on, where I set 60-minute timers throughout my workday, and I'll just breathe,
Yeah.
recheck in, and reassess. Hey, what was I supposed to be working on? Am I on task? Am I, stuff like that? I think is great.
Dude, that's so important. Like yesterday, not yesterday, Saturday, I tried this new exercise where every time I had a thought, I would write it down in my notes. Like it was kind of a crazy experience, because you realize how rambling your mind can be. But
Yeah.
I literally just wrote it down like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I had this idea for a YouTube video. Oh, I should add this to my program. Oh, I need to follow up with this person at Splunk. Whatever it was, I didn't care. I wrote it down, and I did that for about 3 or 4 hours in my day, because it allowed me to actually get a bunch of knowledge that could be used later. But it also made me realize like, wow, I need to like slow down. Like I am working way too hard. My mind's all over the place. No wonder why I feel distracted when I'm like working for 20 minutes on something. And so similar to how you like time box and check in every hour, I was kind of checking in every second on just how I felt for like a 4 hour time frame. And then I realized, wow, like, yeah, I need to actually like calm down. Let me go meditate. Let me kind of just focus on one task, and go from there. So I like that tip too.
I think too, one thing that's ultimately helped me with what you just said right there was not only looking at my goals every single day, but my daily goals, because similar like that reticular activating system, I love the example of Facebook. Like if
Mhm.
I'm looking on a Facebook page, right? I've got all these feed posts, I got ads on the right, I've got all these things going on the left, I got the message. Like, so if my brain were to try and process all of that information with the same amount of attention, it would explode. It's too much going
Yeah,
on at one time, right?
100%.
So that's why with like the reticular activating system, if I say I'm very interested in self-development, very interested in motivation. When I look at that Facebook page, I'm just, my brain is a filtration system looking for that. So similar for you, if you're reviewing your goals and your projects of what you need to do that day, maybe those thoughts along with, kind of slowing down a little bit are a little bit more focused on those things to help you get. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's like the thing of if you've been like, I don't know what car you drive, but I have a Toyota Tacoma. And when I bought it, I essentially started seeing a bunch of Toyota Tacomas, because it's like, oh yeah, it's in my consciousness now. So you
Yes.
realize it, right? So it's the same thing. And so one thing that I'd say as a tip is there's like four aspects of your life. Like I'm reading the book Design Your Life right now. I don't know if you've heard it, but they like have you focus on your health, your work, your play, and then your love. And like those four aspects of your life should be really important. So I feel like if you look at your day and you're planning it out, think about all four of those categories
Say
and
it
say,
one more time. What were the four? You said your
it was health, work, play, and then love.
okay.
And if you look at your life and say, or your upcoming day, and you say, okay, what am I doing today that's aligned to my health? What am I doing today that's aligned to my work? What am I doing today that's aligned, that's going to be playful and joyful and happy? And then lastly, what am I doing that's focusing on love? That could be self love, that could be, your spouse, your friend, whatever it might be. And you'll quickly realize maybe where you're off balance. And it's super interesting because, like, for me, for my to do list, I focus so much on the work and the health side, but I just didn't really ever put much in the joy and the love stuff. Not that I wasn't doing it, but I just wouldn't write it down. So then I
Mm.
started being more intentional, saying, yeah, I'm going to go to the beach and play volleyball with my friends. That's what I'm doing for joy. Right. And so, like, by doing that, I essentially now it's just top of mind and I'm making it a priority and it's just an intention thing. And then you're happier.
I love hearing that. It's so funny because I do a 14-minute meditation every single morning, and it's not guided. It's just like music.
Yeah.
So originally I had a hard time. I'd be like, all right, it's almost 14 minutes. I'd look on my phone, it's been 6 minutes. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's still going. So I naturally started creating a script when I would meditate, like what does my dream body look like? What does my work day and work month look like? What's my relationship with my wife? Fun things like that. And it's like a mental rehearsal that is kind of following those four themes. I think everybody try and look at your life too, because I think mind, body, spirit, balance, whatever it is, I think that's a great kind of guide to see where you are. Because it's great to work hard, but are you getting love? Are you giving love and having joy and all these different areas? So I would love to hear the rest of your pillars too. We're kind of
Yeah.
slithering through it.
I know it's interesting, right? Because like when you get in that action phase, there's so many possibilities and like barriers and things you got to like watch out for. But the benefit is there's all these tips that'll help you get through that difficult part of your life. Because when you try to go for big goals, you're gonna have issues, you're gonna hit pitfalls, you're gonna fail, and that's okay. But you should just be resourceful. Is kind of the main thing. So that's the second one. And then the last pillar is what I call the victory phase, where essentially like 2 weeks before the end of the program, we look at kind of those gauges like, all right, how are you doing? How are you progressing through your goals? Like I'm very data driven. And so I have, them tracking everything in their goals. And then at the end, we actually write your story. Because typically what happens is, I'm sure you've had this too, is like when you start working with a potential client, they'll explain to you what's going on with their life, like kind of like that story of where they're at, maybe the things they've done well, the things that they want to improve, their struggles. But by the end of this 12 weeks, they should be a completely different person. They
Mm.
should have improved on certain aspects of their life. So I have them write down their story so that way they can actually use that in future in conversations in their own mind where it's, yeah, this is who I am. This is the new Eric. This is the new Andrew, because it's super empowering. So my tip for this one is, what can you do at like the end of your day that you're just super proud of where you're like, yeah, I accomplished this because this is my identity. This is who I am. And tie
Mm,
it back to that because, like, for example, when like I haven't been filming YouTube videos in a while because it was just lower priority to me. And I felt like that was hurtful to my identity because I know that's important to me. That's like one of the reasons why I got into doing this business. And so I said, all right, on Saturday, I'm going to film a video. And I did it. And by the end of the day, I congratulated myself because I was proud that I did that work because it was aligned to my identity of who I am. And so by
mm.
just doing that, like takes 5 seconds to think about it, but that's going to pay dividends because now you're actually in line with your identity at the end of the day. And it's super
Guys,
easy to do.
this is gold right here. Like, Eric, what you were just saying, I think for everyone who's listening, this is a good practice for you to do today or on your lunch break, whenever you're listening to this, is rewriting the story of your life, right? Maybe you've had some setbacks, some downfalls, some pitfalls, some things, storms. We all have them, right? But look back on your life. How have you overcome those? How have they made you better today? And creating a story and a narrative of the future and what you want. And I think what you said, Eric, write it, get a journal, go to CVS or,
Yeah.
go and get one of those and write your story of the life you want going forward. I think that's great because imagine writing it all down. Now, when somebody says, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" You have this story pre-written that you share, and all the brain science with writing stuff down and memorizing it. Isn't that crazy?
No, it is. It is. I mean, it makes it real, like that's one of the biggest benefits that people have gotten in my program is they're like, dude, I just never write this stuff down, and I really should because by doing that, you organize it in your head. It's not like some distant thought that then evaporates and goes away. Like if you write it down or if you type it up like digitally, like yeah, writing it down, it's like that connection is like a lot, like studies have proven that it's like a lot deeper. But even if you just type it up, like you can go back to it, like you said, and realize, yeah, that's who I am, and I've lost sight of that. Or
Yeah.
the opposite, where you're like, you know what, that made sense for that season in my life, but now that's not important to me, and this is what is now important, and here's how I'm bridging that gap,
New
right? So,
chapter.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean, write it down. And like I always say, I keep everything in my notes on my
Oh yeah,
phone. I have like for my affirmation, positive things that I hear or scriptures, and I have it all in one big thing that I just go through every morning. I want to do something with you, Eric. So I had met somebody who was a life coach who under like Bob Proctor and like so really big life coaching guy. And he sent me this Word document and I just found it and it has this list of questions. I kind of want to just run through these with you and just kind of,
yeah,
let's look at it. I think these are good questions too for everyone who's watching to kind
yeah.
of go through. So it says 8 questions that warrant your attention. So number one was, how frequently would you take a vacation if money wasn't a determining factor? So I'll ask you that. Like, do you want to just we'll kind of go through this? Like, so if you
Yeah,
could
I'm
take a
down.
vacation and money wasn't a factor, how often would you take a vacation?
I would say it's a balance, right? Like I would say at least at least twice a quarter, but no more than once a month because I need to balance that feeling of I'm building and improving my life with the I need experiences and time to relax and recover. And I feel like if you're like, yeah, I'm on a vacation every 2 weeks, you're not going to move much. But if it's like, yeah, at the end of each month, I go on a little vacation, or I save it up, and in 6 weeks I take a vacation, like every 6 weeks, then that sounds pretty good, fantastic to me because you can kind of reset, recharge, and then move on to the next chapter.
That's a good answer. I'm very habitual and routine, so I like having my smoothies, my bed, like everything that I'm used to. So I
Yeah,
feel like, okay, if I did a vacation at the end of every month to celebrate, that would be great. I
yeah,
think but keeping it just as a celebration. Like I know some people will take a vacation and like two of it is days filming or working on like during that vacation. So I
Yeah.
would probably say, yeah, like once a month, but trying to keep that vacation. Like, yeah, sure, I'll get photos or videos or some content, but I'm not out on that vacation to work really.
Yeah, you're fully unplugging. Yeah. And like, because that's where your creativity comes from, you know, it's just that time to unplug.
I think that's, well, I just got back from Puerto Rico too, and it was
Oh,
great
yeah.
to unplug because when I came back, I was like, oh, I can't wait for Monday. Like, gonna
Yeah.
work, get after all these. You come back even more rejuvenated than before. I think that was what
Yeah.
I've learned from vacation, you know?
100%. 100%.
So let's like so this second one, I actually you don't probably need to disclose any of this because it's like financial figures. So it says, how much has your income increased year by year over the past 5 years? Are you satisfied with these rates of increase? So I think for everyone who's listening, this is a great one. So I'll say it again. How much has your income increased year by year over the past 5 years? So we're 2021. We don't know what the end result is. So I would say 2020 to 2015. So right, how much you made 2015, how much you made 2016. And see, I remember when I did this, dude, I was freaking like I remember I was making like 38,000 in 2015 and 38,000 in 2016, same amount. And then it wasn't until I changed within that it just keeps doubling and changing. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I should do that exercise. I think that'd be really good. Like, because I have some numbers in my head, and obviously, like, I was back in college in 2015, and so I was like tutoring and whatnot. So it'd be like, who knows, like maybe 5 grand a year. Who knows, right? Um, but still, like, yeah, I mean, I can see in my head the jumps in salary and income and other things that I got for my career, and I could tie those back to major accomplishments that then allowed Splunk to promote me. And like I remember one thing, like my friends were like, "Dude, didn't you just get promoted like 6 months ago? Like, what are you talking about?" Like, and it's just like, yeah, like I'm definitely in a rarefied place, which I'm super grateful for. But it's tied to the work ethic and putting that name out there for you. So the money is a attribute that comes after all the work that you put in to be that next level. You know?
Yeah, I don't think anything happens by accident, right? Like even people who invest money or like they make a bunch of money, they have knowledge, they have skills. It's not like they just randomly came upon it. So
Yeah.
that's a good one. So that was question two. I'll move right along. So number three was, what improvements would you like to see take place in your life over the next 2 years? So
Mhm.
improvements over the next 2 years that you would like to see.
It's interesting because like improvements is a pretty vague term. It could be it's open ended. Like my mind goes to like very tangible things, like I want to be able to own a house at some point soon, or some kind of property. But
Mhm.
then something that's not tangible is more of just who I am, and just being like I come across as like a very grounded person. But there's always times where like I'll get overly emotional or overly stressed out over things, typically because I'm overworking myself. So I'd
Mm.
say that that's a big thing that I want to work on is being comfortable with taking more breaks and actually relaxing and slowing down. Like every day is not the Super Bowl, but sometimes I feel like I do treat myself that way. So I think that'd be a great thing to work on for myself for the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's great. I think even too, just like the home ownership is great too. I mean, like that's a whole nother ball game. I think improvements you would like to see take place in your life over the next 2 years. I think even for me, I'm similar to yours, like definitely the work-life balance, but I definitely want to like be a little bit more cause driven and mission driven for something outside of myself. Like I definitely want to have a family someday and I want to break a lot of generational curses and sins and things that I've seen happen in my family line. And same for my wife, that I would, I'm not there yet, but I want to be a dad who is inspiring and living for something bigger than me, or
Yeah,
finding maybe like a mission or a church or somebody that I really am helping out that has really nothing to do with me, but we can fundraise or give back. I think that's something with influence that I would really like to do with the next 2 years, 100%.
I love that. I love that idea. That's something that like a tenet about Epic Voyage that I've decided is that um, I'm going to donate like 5 to 10%. I'll see what makes sense of my profits each year to some cause because I want it to be philanthropic in that regards. But I need to make sure that I pick the right thing that motivates me as well as then it's a good cause and whatnot. So I love that you're, similarly minded in that.
Well, I had this on it's on my affirmations because there's like the richest on Forbes list or something like that, the top 100, but there's also like the Forbes biggest philanthropist list as well,
Oh,
which is like who gives the most. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome. Like that's something I want to be a part of, like who gives the most. And actually my barber, Philly, shout out if you end up listening, got me really into like tithing through the church, like the 10% of your
mm,
income. And I'm telling
mm,
like everyone who's listening, maybe you're not super spiritual, religious, but I just know giving that 10% of every paycheck to the church, it has been like God gives that money back tenfold. So in it you really are living for someone other than yourself too. So I think this is a good question. I'm kind of happy we stumbled upon that.
yeah, I like it too. That's great.
Okay, let's go on to number 4. So, is there a reoccurring concern or problem that you would love to eliminate from your life?
Damn, that's a deep one. And it's fun being on the receiving end because I'm usually always the one asking these questions.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like recurring problem. I would say is I think it's just again my work ethic. Like it's such a double-edged sword. It's something where if you didn't have it, you wouldn't be achieving as much, but then you burn yourself out. And so like it's been happening less frequently. Where like before it would be like, all right, after each week I'd be like I'm drained and I just like just need to collapse on my couch and just chill. But for like I think the past year it's gotten better where it's like maybe once every 2 months I'll just kind of have that like, all right, I need to just push everything away and relax. And so I think it's just a reoccurring problem that I'd love to go away is that I'm just being more sustainable with my work ethic, you know?
No, I love that. That's great. So, for everyone who's listening again, so reoccurring concern or problem that you would love to eliminate from your life. So, I think that was great. I think for me is that work life balance with family too, because obviously, it's just me and my wife right now. But I think a lot of times work consumes a lot of me during the week. That on the weekends I can be a little bit more tired, or like I don't want to go and do as many things, but I don't want that to affect relationships with family or friends. So I think similar to what you're saying is having a balance, like work is not the end all be all, and not burning myself out so hard on the work week that when it comes to the weekend, all I want to do is rest. And then I miss out on, because that's usually when we can hang out with a lot of people is on the weekends. So I
Yeah.
would say that. I'm curious, do you have an accomplished board, or is that something you do?
I write down, I mean, obviously, like I have my strategic goals of everything that I'm trying to achieve in this. Like I do it seasonally. So like it's springtime right now. So right at the start of spring, I wrote out my basically the next 3 months of goals. And then I keep that and then like that's kind of like my accomplishments board at the end is like
Mhm.
a document that I save on Google Drive where it shows how far I went with those goals. If
Okay.
that's in line with what you meant by accomplishment.
So I learned that this from John Assaraf. He's like a big guy on your brain, and he's a big part of that movie, The Secret, and stuff like that. He was a big real estate guy too, and he said one thing to help out with burnout is an accomplish board. So let's say like you had a goal to lead your company in sales, and you did it, right? Why don't you take a screenshot of that email or of the plaque or of the award and save that in a section on your phone, right? And then let's say you wanted to go to Hawaii, like that was on your list. Take a picture of yourself in Hawaii, add that to the accomplished board. So
Mm.
pretty much now it's so funny. I have a huge list of photos in my phone, and it's so great because every morning I'll review that before I start my day and be like, dude, look at all the stuff you've already done. And
Love
it's
that.
all art. I always tell my wife, if I ever die and you need photos, just go there, look at my accomplishments. That's every that's
Yeah,
all you
that's
need
me.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge. I love that. I'm gonna take that and start doing that for me and my clients. That's great.
Yeah, and it's so easy. All you do is you grab a photo from your camera roll and just hit copy, and then you can paste it into your notes.
Easy. Nice.
Easy. Okay, let's keep rocking here, guys. So we have number 5. How much money would you have to earn to eliminate all financial concerns in your life?
That one's interesting. Like, I think that I'm at a position where I feel like my steady stream income from my job keeps me sustainably happy. And so I think that level of income's perfect. But then it's more of like having more income to do bigger and better things, not for just myself, but for my family and for then people that are less fortunate than me. Like I would say that's my main drive of wanting to be a multimillionaire is because it just gives you the opportunity. And one thing I used to always say at Thanksgiving was, for some reason, Thanksgiving, I came up with this when I was at the dinner table was if you have the ability to help, then you have a responsibility to help as well. And like right now, I'm limited by the amount of income that I have to truly help even more. So I'd say, let's just say $5 million in money, so that way I can actually help more people.
I love that. I'm doing some quick math here. Let me see. So I think even like how much money to eliminate all I'm gonna look at it like yearly. Like if you were doing like about 1 million a year, that's $83,000 a month.
Mm.
$83,000 a month. I feel like, and especially too, like just growing up in the church, it's like if you don't give when you have little, you're not going to give when you have a lot. So practicing,
100%.
giving now, like no matter what, even if you're listening to this, I'm telling you, the money comes back. And I think for sure, probably 1 million a year. Even one thing that I started doing is I read a scripture and it made me super emotional. Like if you see a fellow brother in need and you turn him away, and it was saying like that's not the way Jesus would do things, right? Because he helped everyone, it didn't matter who you were. And I always would feel bad, like if I walk by like a Trader Joe's or like out of the grocery store and somebody's homeless and in the credit card generation never have cash. Like I'm like, dude, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and I can't Venmo this guy money. So I just started going to the ATM every paycheck and I take $100 and I get them in fives. And I always
Mm.
have a huge stack of fives in the wallet. So like if these situations arise, dude, I don't have to give them, just I can give them $25, but I always have
Yeah.
cash strictly, not for anything else, just to to proactively be looking to give to people throughout the
Yeah.
day, right?
That's huge. That's huge. I know. We live in a cashless society, so that's definitely a good thing that people can action right after this call. I love that.
Yeah. So let's go. That was a great one there, Eric. For number 6, how would you spend your day every day if you could truly do what you love? So this is like your dream day, man.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
would that look like?
All right. So I love the ocean and I love the sun and warmth.
Mm,
Um, and my passions also are like cooking and spending time with friends and family, but also then putting in work, like some level of work. So I think my perfect day would be like I can wake up on my own terms. Like I usually don't sleep in too much, but like, just I wake up without an alarm. I'd be able to like walk out onto the beach, do a morning meditation out there. It's already warm. And then, feed that into me cooking a great breakfast for, my family or friends, whoever I'm with on that day. And then it's like, all right, at the breakfast table, we say, all right, we're going to accomplish this thing today. Whether that's, all right, we're going to work in the garden, we're going to build this thing for someone, like something manual, like physical labor, because I usually, you don't do that anymore. So I kind of miss that. And so then plan that out, do that, do a good workout, again, make a delicious meal that's like super healthy and just vibrant and flavorful. And then for like the afternoon, I'd take a nap in a hammock on the beach. Like I love taking naps, and I don't really get to take naps much anymore because it kind of feels like a nice restart to your day. Um, and then just wake up and then be able to like cook a huge dinner for family and friends, people maybe I haven't seen in a long time. and just be able to like not worry about, oh yeah, we only have 2 hours to eat, and you know we have to dip out. Like literally just no stress, no worries, watch a beautiful sunset, a lot of seafood, and then just being able to like cozy up by a fire, have a glass of wine, with a loved one, and then yeah, I think that's probably my dream day.
See, I'm smiling just listening to your dream. I think this is maybe, I don't know if we stumbled upon something, but maybe if we're having a bad day or an off day or like, why don't we just take that literally, Eric, that just took you maybe 2 minutes to
Yeah,
describe, and just that feeling of like what's possible for your life. I
yeah,
mean, all right, so a dream day. So this is me, bro. I'm imagining Bora Bora, crystal clear water, waking up, doing a nice breath work, meditation, and like after the meditation, just hopping in the water, feeling
yeah,
good, healthy smoothie, work out with some of my best friends, like get a great pump,
yeah,
come back, eat food, do something cause driven, like helping out, giving away food for people, building something for someone, like kind of like what you said, shooting a fun music video on a boat on Sea-Doos,
dude,
and
nice.
eating sushi,
Yeah,
something, a nice, beautiful romantic dinner with my wife, very intimate, and then kind of cascading into the classic around the fire, s'mores, laughs, country music kind of thing. I feel like that if I could do that every day, whoo,
yeah,
whoo,
especially
whoo.
the jet ski part, dude. I want to take that one.
Yeah, bro, hop on, dude. We'll whip around, right?
Exactly.
I'm gonna timestamp this so that in like a couple years or whenever I can play that back and be like, wow, it's happening. It's
Yeah,
real.
like
We're
this is
doing it.
exactly. That's great.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so guys, two more questions here. Oh wow, this is great. We stumbled right in. So number 7, what kind of contribution do you dream of making to society?
Mm. I think that for me, one of my biggest pains and struggles back in like 2014, 2015 is, not many people know this unless you know me really personally, is I just had debilitating anxiety around like fear of death, fear of not knowing what I wanted to do with my life, and just like so much concern that it was crippling, where I wouldn't be able to like go out and spend time with my friends. I wouldn't be motivated to go to the gym, and I wouldn't, do much. And it hurt me for like about 3 months. And I would never wish that upon even my worst enemy, because it's just you're trapped in your own shell. And so anything around mental health is so important to me. And I think that it's a blind spot to society today that I really hope that I can be a leader for, where like 100 years from now people are like, oh yeah, Eric Winkler really kind of helped pioneer mental health awareness and getting people out of their own heads. Because at the end of the day, like, you and I both work out, we lift weights. 100 years ago, that would have been weird. Like people didn't really do that. People would smoke cigarettes and think that's healthy. But today, I feel like the same thing goes with mental training. Like, why don't we all do mental training? Like, yeah, meditation's kind of out there, but it's not as like, yeah, bro, I go to the gym, I use this supplement, I do this as my workout. Like, it's just so mainstream. I want to make that more mainstream, so that way people who have debilitating anxiety or depression or anything mental health, it just doesn't happen. Or if it does happen, they quickly get out of it because they have that resource. So that's something that's huge for me.
That was beautiful. There's your why. That'll get you to film some YouTube videos, knowing that
Oh,
our future generation is going to rely on your content to help them get through these situations in time. I've never looked at it that way when it comes to like mental health, because like my whole goal is to inspire within. But I think what you said, like think about the gym. Like we have all these supplements, we have all these workouts, we have all these machines to get
yeah.
your body right, but what is there for your mind that we can proactively start doing to improve your mental health? I think that's amazing. I'm rooting for you, bro. Like I want to see you do it. I want to be a part of your life and sharing journeys with you. I think that's for me. Like contribution to society, inspiring others within to realize their greatness, and then I've always wanted to do something to give back to kids.
Mm,
From like who have been abandoned or in foster care or adoption, just seeing everything that my wife had been through with how tough that was for her growing up. with that process. I would just want to be able to get back to some kids, and give them a fighting chance of like, hey, somebody does care about you. So I would
That's
say
huge.
that
That
that's
goes,
for
that goes a
sure.
long way, just being able to give them that support. I love that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we're doing great, guys. So we're down to one last question on who wants to be a millionaire. No, I'm playing. All right, so let's see. If I could show you how to accomplish one or more of the above objectives, would you be willing to dedicate a specific period of time each day to make the changes necessary to accomplish the success? How much time would you be prepared to dedicate to this solution? So, almost how much time a day would you be willing to do to accomplish the above?
Well, again, I think it ties into my last answer is I go to the gym basically almost every day for at least an hour to an hour and a half. So if I'm going to dedicate to improve that much time to just my body, then I would need to at least dedicate the same amount. So I would say at least an hour and a half each day to solving all of these problems. And I think that you and I both do that through what we do every single day. So I think that it's probably even more than an hour and a half for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I love the referencing the gym and working out, like, and I mean, people say, why do you wake up so early? Like, I literally wake up, so from 3:30 to 6, I'm putting my armor on and I'm just working on me. Like, as selfishly as it sounds,
Yeah.
because then from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I can do everything I need to do, but I've already worked on myself, right? So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
so true. I don't know how you do that, dude. I like commend you for that. I think you're amazing because you're able to wake up that early. Like I'm more kudos to you. I'll try to wake up more early, but I can't ever do that at least 3:30 a.m. That's pretty intense, but awesome for you.
But I think it's fun. Everything that I do when I wake up is set up to help me wake up more. I feel like doing like Wim Hof push-ups, like get
Oh
the
yeah.
blood going, doing Tony Robbins breathing, and I take a really great nootropic supplement in the morning called Genius Consciousness that has like natural stimulants. So it's kind of like a little bit of caffeine, but it helps with meditation and really visualization without getting you all spracked, But
I like that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
Well, Eric, this was great, man. I know this was kind of random and I didn't give you this list of questions and it was very raw and just open
Yeah.
ended. And I hope other people were taking notes. And I think it was great having you give answers too, because maybe if somebody was struggling with some of those questions that they have some ideas. Before I end today, is there anything that you wanted to maybe address or share or for people to follow you or anything you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll kind of give like a closing remark. Like the reason why I called my business Epic Voyage is because I wanted to placate on the fact that we're all on our own odyssey, and again that we're all our own hero for our own story. And whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're feeling like you don't know where you ought to go in life, acknowledge it, be okay with it, and then have that feeling of I'm the superhero in this movie. Like I am the main protagonist. Like you have the ability to make your life as epic as you want. And it's going to be a voyage. It's going to be a journey. And that's who you become at the end of the day. And don't be afraid of doing things wrong. At least just try it. And like that's just going to be motivation in itself because you only have one life to live. Like why like get up off the couch and start living it. So that's why I named it Epic Voyage. I'm super passionate about that. You can find me on Instagram. It's Eric Anthony Winkler, which is just my full name. I've got a YouTube channel there. Everything's in the link tree. That's probably the easiest way to find me. That and then on Facebook as well. If I touched you at all for any of these tips, feel free to DM me. I'd love to hear from you and see if I can help you out. And if not, I have a private Facebook group I actually just started, which I'd love to get you in there. Andrew, where basically like I just post a bunch of free content, just kind of build a community of people who are just trying to better their lives, and like that's something that I'm passionate about because I can, help foster growth for people who might not be able to join my coaching. So
That was
I'll give you all
beautiful.
those links and it's all linked on my Instagram.
It was beautiful, man. I love the story behind Epic Voyage, and it really is a voyage and a journey. And I just literally know I got better from listening to you today. I'm praying that everyone else got better, and also just praying for everyone in general who's listening. I always pray for the audience that God just blesses you with unexpected favor and blessings. Guys, go give Eric some love. And thank you, dude, so much for your time. You crushed it today, and I really appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too. And I got so many learnings from you too. Like, I want to rewatch this and just make sure I capture all that again. So I appreciate you having me, and I can't wait to come on again and talk to you more, brother.
Heck yeah, Eric. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, too, for taking time to listen and support the Andrew Walsh podcast. We love you. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, guys.